This week on Gymwright Live, we're going to discuss a common misconception gym owners have that is not only holding them back from success, but also usually responsible for them burning out entirely and giving up on their business. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a warm thank you to SiteRight.io as our official sponsor for this show. Every gym owner deserves to have a great website, and now there is no excuse not to have one. Upgrade your online presence by going to SiteRight.io. They are up to big things that are happening right now, including some very special offers for the audience of this show that you definitely don't want to miss out on. So head on over to SiteRight.io today to learn more about it. Also, if you are one of our many awesome podcast listeners, but are not yet a member of our fancy free private Facebook group called The Network, you are missing out. We've got almost 2,000 motivated gym owners in the group, plus our team of growth specialists, and you will find tons of great conversations, the video version of this show, and step-by-step how-tos of some of the most effective strategies out there for gym owners today. Simply visit gymwright.com/VIP to get access right away. We look forward to having you join the conversation. All right, let's get this party started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Gymwright Live. I'm your host, Markus, Gerszi, and this week I want to talk to you guys about one of the most dangerous misconceptions that I see with gym owners that is truly one of the main reasons why a lot of them end up burning out and giving up entirely. So I was having a call yesterday with one of my coaching clients, and she runs an amazing gym. She's amazing at what she does as a coach. Her product is phenomenal. She's built a really strong community, but she's got herself into a pretty tough position. She is currently coaching way too many hours on the floor, and we really need to get her focused on other aspects of the business, particularly on developing the rest of her coaching staff to get them up to speed to, closer to her level, so that she can have a guilt-free conscience as she starts to transition her hours down even further and can focus on other aspects of the business. So, when we initially proposed this, keep in mind here, she's coaching anywhere from 25 to 35 hour-long classes a week, plus all of her other ownership duties. Now, if you're running a facility yourself, you know that is way too many classes. Now, can you do that for a short period of time? Yeah, obviously. We probably all have at one point. I know I did for probably a good 4 to 6 months at one point where I was doing everything like that on my own. The problem with it though is that even though you might be able to do it and your members love seeing you all the time, and it may be a great way to kind of jump back in there, and whether you're trying to kind of save the business if you were, gone, or, this is maybe just how you've kind of started out and started building the business, that we've got to take a look at what the repercussions long-term are here. There's no way that's sustainable. You're going to burn yourself out. And the big thing we have to realize here is that we have to find a sustainable pace, because if you burn out, the entire operation falls apart. I mean, think about that. You can have an employee that burns out. You can have members that burn out. You can have vendors that burn out. Those are all replaceable. What is not replaceable is the tribe leader in this particular business, unless you've cultivated that person as someone to come in and be your successor, right? So the other challenge here too, guys, which I hear so commonly is, I don't have time to do the social media like I'm supposed to, and, do my content and events and get back to my leads as quickly as I could. I just don't have time. I'm just so busy. That is a fundamental issue. Those things are required in order for your business to continue to grow and be healthy. Otherwise, if you're not doing those things, then the business is going to suffer. Now, I get it. When we first get started, we kind of have to do everything on our own. It's kind of crazy. That's the whole startup, business launch, grind that we all go through to get something from zero to something. But the problem is that when people don't get them out of that get themselves out of that role and out of that volume as quickly as possible, that we find ourselves in a spot to where you've got a whole bunch of people who've gotten used to having you here every day for every class, which is good in some ways because you have a very good product with good consistency for the most part. But you can't keep up with that. You're being spread way too thin. As you know, running a great class takes a lot of energy. Doing more than just a handful a day is really not a good idea anyway, because we want to make sure that every class is as amazing as the last every single time, right? The best hour of their day, no matter what, always. So if you, because you are afraid to give up control, or you're afraid to possibly disappoint some members who are used to having you in their class every day, at any time of day that they want, if you're not taking action because of that, you are setting up yourself for failure. Don't be surprised if in a very short amount of time, you go from feeling just fine about everything to completely burning out and being over it and wanting to walk away, because we need that extra bandwidth. We need that extra energy, that resilience, let alone all that other activity, to make sure that we can continue on, because there's going to be other curveballs and there's going to be other speed bumps down the road where if you don't have a little extra gas in the tank to be able to dig deep and get through that challenge, whether it's a staffing issue or, who knows what, your landlord decides to, hike up the rates and you've got to go find a new facility in a short amount of time. If you don't have the ability to handle those curveballs in real time with some elegance and get through them and make good decisions and come out the other end victorious, then you are not in a stable position. That is unstable. Your risk is at a maximum, because if anything goes wrong, you have a couple of bad days, you could break down and be completely over this thing. And again, if you're broken down, you can't. I titled this show put your own oxygen mask on first, because that is, I think, the best example. If you don't, and by the way, I'm referring to when you get on an airplane and they tell you, when the oxygen masks drop, if they do that, if you are with a child, that you need to put your own mask on first before you assist the child. And that's because they can't help themselves and they can't help you, but you can help them and you can help yourself. So in order for that to be possible, you have to get yourself taken care of first and then help them. And when we look at whether it's the hours coached or it's, any of these other things that could be overwhelming you and keeping you from doing these other activities, or even just maintaining a realistic workload beyond the, let's call it the first 6 to 12 months of being in business, expect it to be a bit of a shit show. But anything beyond that, you should be striving for that scalability, that sustainable pace, so that you can continue to do this, hopefully forever, right? And in order for that to happen, you've got to be able to grow the business, put your time and resources into all the other aspects, from developing your staff, getting them up to speed, or getting back to those sales leads, or putting together some really good events and marketing content and all that stuff so that you can continue to grow. So that's all for today, guys. I just wanted to talk about that because it was such a heavy conversation yesterday, and I just find this coming up more and more frequently. And I keep repeating the same conversation. And I know that a lot of you are out there are possibly challenged with this right now, especially this time of year. It is, we're coming on to Q4 here. People going back to school and holidays and all that. And for a lot of gyms, at least here in the States, this can be a really tough season. Everything starts to decline right about now and just continues to kind of get worse into December until right about the turn of the year. So, remember, put your own oxygen mask on first. Make sure that your workload, your pace, your everything is a sustainable one. Ask for help, get the help. Even if it means you're going to have an uncomfortable transition of maybe a few disappointed people for a couple of weeks, that is a far smaller hurdle to get over than you burning out and giving up on your business, or you making poor decisions because you're burned out around staffing or your business somehow. So anyway, have yourselves a great rest of your day and weekend. And if you guys like the show, guys, please leave us a 5-star review. And if you have any tactics or any stories or experiences from your own journey that you'd be willing to share, put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear and learn from each other. That's the power of this awesome community here in the network. So again, thank you to all of you motivated gym owners out there for joining us today. And I will look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Bye-bye.